And they're coming in. And if Jennifer and Cheryl, if you want to see who's in there, you can just click on participants and click on the attendees, and that'll show you who's in the room.
Awesome. I see Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Brock Carter joined us. April, Corin, Sherry, Crystal, Dan, Francine. Yay. Lots of people are here. Awesome. Jeremy. Hi, Kathy. Kelsey, Linda, Susan, and did I miss? Just lots of people. Yay. We do have someone on the phone. If you put your name in the Q&A, it's the 808-951-1774 number. I can put your name. Awesome.
Are you seeing that at all? We'll wait just a few more minutes. Welcome everybody as you're coming in. I see we have 17 already here. We do have quite a few that registered, close to 50, so I'm going to wait just a minute before we start.
Awesome. Welcome, Alex. Byron. So odd not to see everybody's face, but it is so nice.
It is, I know.
Okay, I think we just had Jeremy join us. I think we're probably good to go. If someone, there's Bob Schultz. Nice to see Bob. We can always catch up, but I think we can go ahead and get started, Donna.
We will go ahead and get started. And first of all, we just want to welcome everybody and thank you for taking time out of your late afternoon or early afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. I am Donna Fuentes. For those of you who don't know me, I am the lead administrative support for Kids Chance of America. And with us today is Cheryl Doucette, who is the Director of Programs and State Services. Many of you probably do see us and know us during the CSO and P2P meetings, but we want to welcome you. Just so you know, the chat feature is turned off, but the Q&A is open. So please feel free to put any questions that you might have or comments, and Cheryl will be monitoring that. We will also have a few polls that will pop up and questions throughout this presentation today. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and just pop them in the questions and we'll be monitoring those. I'd like to introduce to you today our host. This is President-elect Jennifer Wolf from Kids Chance of America. She has more than 20 years of experience as the president and CEO of the Minnesota Workers, sorry, my computer moved, the Minnesota Workers' Compensation Insurance Association. MWCIA's work supports safer and healthy work in Minnesota, achieved through the development of a sustainable workers' compensation system. Notably, it is one of the 10 independent workers' compensation rating bureaus in the United States. Its pivotal role encompasses a formulation of workers' compensation rates, publications, compliance monitoring, and research. The achievement of these objectives hinges on establishing collaborative relationships with carriers, agents, policyholders, industry groups, and regulatory bodies. Ms. Wolf's professional influence extends beyond leadership. She has authored numerous articles, delivered compelling presentations, and hosted a podcast. These endeavors explore various dimensions of workers' compensation, including care delivery, labor force dynamics, and evolving insurance trends. Prior to her role within WCIA, Ms. Wolf served as the Executive Director of the International Association of Industrial Accident Boards and Commissions. Most of you know it as IAIABC. In this capacity, she facilitated education and facilitated information sharing, enabling stakeholders to collectively address issues pertaining to harm, reduction, and recovery from occupational injuries and illnesses. She holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Kansas, further underscoring her commitment to a well-rounded approach to leadership and problem solving. And with that, we welcome Jennifer and we thank her. And I just want to tell you guys, you are in for a treat.
Awesome. Welcome, Jennifer. We are so delighted to have you today. I can tell, as Donna shared, I can echo that you guys are in for a treat. We have had a really good time preparing for this webinar, and we're thrilled to have such a huge attendee list today. So welcome, and take it away, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. And Donna, thank you very much for uncomfortably reading my bio. It is not my favorite thing to share, but I'll share that I'm super excited because of all of the aspects of my professional career and my interaction with the workers' compensation community. Kids Chance is 100% my favorite part. I am really excited to be involved in the Kids Chance community, and I'll share with you attendees that I've been involved with Kids Chance of America now for more than 7 years, and it has been such an incredible thing to be a part of, watching Kids Chance of America grow from organizations that started in one state to now representing all 50 states across the country. And our commitment at Kids Chance of America is to help and partner with each of your state organizations and help you be as strong as possible so that we can collaboratively and in partnership together serve more families who have suffered a serious injury or fatality at work. So it's truly an honor to get to talk with you this afternoon. And I think it's really exciting to be able to talk with the state organization leadership and volunteers, because you all are truly the engine which drives the Kids Chance mission and the Kids Chance support and service forward. So I want to thank you for your efforts now and into the future, and thank you for coming to this webinar and learning a little bit more about the Planning for the Future initiative. And I'm really excited because I've gotten to participate over the last 18 months in an effort to really reevaluate and strengthen planning for the future and position planning for the future as a cornerstone of Kids Chance success now and into the future. So I'm going to talk to you about planning for the future and why we think it's so important to our mission in meeting our goal of more money for more kids. So I will share, Donna said that you can interact with Cheryl, I, and Donna through the question and answer feature. So please, it's really hard sometimes to be giving a presentation without being able to see your faces, and hopefully we're not going to put you to sleep today. But if you've got comments or questions or feedback for any one of us, please put that in the question and answer this afternoon, and we will make sure to try to get to that. Again, we're striving to be interactive, so we do have some polls that we're going to launch, and we would encourage you to participate in those as well. So with that, I will kick it off, and we will start off with our first question. And the first question I have to ask you, and Donna, if you can launch this poll, is how many of you who are participating in this afternoon's program have heard a presentation about planning for the future before? So yes, no, or can't remember. We'll let you take a few minutes and share with us how many of you have heard a presentation about planning for the future before.
And so far, it looks like about 95% of you have participated, and it's kind of neck and neck. 48 yes, 48 no, and 4% cannot remember.
Well, I think that we're going to say that the 4% that can't remember, we're going to say that they're with the no's, that it was such a memorable presentation that they couldn't remember it. So about half said that they have heard a presentation about planning for the future before, and half didn't. And so what I want to do is I'm going to challenge those of you who have heard about planning for the future to bring a new perspective and to bring new listening ears to this conversation. I know that Planning for the Future is an initiative that Kids Chance of America has had for longer than I've been involved in Kids Chance, so more than 7 years, probably a decade or more. And it's been talked about, and certainly there have been presentations and efforts to increase awareness about planning for the future. But Kids Chance of America in the last 18 months has really invested time and resources in making planning for the future as strong as possible. And what we want to share with you today is a new strategy in leveraging planning for the future, because we believe that it is a central mechanism to connect families and children with the Kids Chance community. And so we want you to really understand why planning for the future is important to our success, both at Kids Chance of America and at each one of our state organizations. And we want you to understand that, and then to be able to share that message with your stakeholder community now and long into the future. So I want to go over what we think are 3 central goals for today's program. The first goal is we want to talk to you about what is planning for the future and why was it built. And then we're going to talk to you about the process of planning for the future. And it's a really simple process, but we're going to go over it for everyone one more time. We're also going to talk to you about strategies that Kids Chance of America and other stakeholders have worked through to be successful in connecting a family who's experienced a serious injury or fatality with the Kids Chance community. And we found that this is an effort that is going to be ongoing within the Kids Chance community, is talking about and sharing information about planning for the future with the families who've experienced these tragedies in their lives. And then lastly, we want to talk to you about how planning for the future can be a very important planning tool for your state organization, because in some ways, planning for the future is a little bit of a crystal ball. It tells us how many students that we should be planning for in terms of providing scholarships over a certain amount of time. So we're going to talk about some of the insights that planning for the future gives us for organizational planning. And really, the entire goal of this program is to be the start of what we hope is a very strong collaboration between Kids Chance of America and each one of your state organization on how we can leverage and strengthen planning for the future to connect with families who need our support and who we want to see be potential scholarship recipients into the future. So those are really our 3 central goals for this program. Donna, if you will launch the second question, I want to know, I'd like to learn a little bit more about what your organization does when a family contacts you and requests information about Kids Chance. So these it's a multiple choice. You can choose all of the things that apply. So the selection answers include you send them information electronically, you direct them to your state organization website, you tell them about planning for the future, you don't do any of the above or other, and if you could please explain what else you do when a family contacts you with a request for information about Kids Chance. Hopefully we're getting in responses. As you're completing your responses, I will share a little bit of insight that this presentation format that I'm using is available to all of the state organizations, but I was practicing this presentation with my daughter the other day, and she did not quite understand why we had a car mechanic and a mechanic in the slide presentation. And I tried to remind her that it's because the Kids Chance community supports all post-secondary opportunities, and that's why. But she was taking umbrage a little bit about my picture selection in the slides.
We have about 95% participation, 100% participation. So I'm going to end the poll and share the results. And are you able to see those?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Donna. And thank you everyone for participating and sharing how you answer questions from families about Kids Chance. And what I see is that many of the organizations send them information electronically or they direct them to their state organization website. I see that some Kids Chance organization contact these families directly by phone, which is great. And I'm trying to see what the other responses are.
I can read them to you. They connect them with a board member or ambassador. Let me pull it over here so I can see it better. Call them or contact them to get more information and engage them. Send information via snail mail. And if they're unable to receive or don't want to receive information electronically, personal phone calls, call them and advise them of what our state organization does. So it sounds like a lot of personal reaching out, which is great. Explaining verbally or by email what Kids Chance is, and sending them to the website with the Kaleidoscope platform.
Well, thank you. It's great to hear all of the personalized touches that the state organizations have with these families. I think that is such an encouraging thing, and I can only anticipate that. I can only believe that is really meaningful for those families. And it looks like we have about 50% of the state organizations who tell these families, these prospective families, about planning for the future. And I'm hoping that after this presentation and after learning about how we want to leverage planning for the future in the going forward, that 100% of you will share information and share the direct link to the Planning for the Future online form after this presentation, because we really believe that the best way to capture and connect these families with the Kids Chance community is to make sure that they're in planning for the future. And that information will be valuable for your state organization and for that family to make sure that no child who could possibly be a recipient for a scholarship falls through the cracks within the Kids Chance community. So I'm hoping that after this presentation, you will add planning for the future in your initial response to these families. But it's such an encouraging thing to hear about all of the personalized touches that are going out. So let me tell you a little bit more about why Planning for the Future was built. And then we're going to walk through the process of planning for the future. We know that serious injuries and fatalities occur at work every single day. In fact, the Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that there is a workplace fatality every 96 minutes across the United States. That's more than 5,000 workers killed on the job each year. That's a really sobering statistic. And what it means to me in light of Kids Chance is that there are a lot of potential children and families who could benefit from the support of a Kids Chance scholarship. But we know that these tragedies can happen to a family at any time, and a child could be 2 months old, they could be 2 years old, or they could be 16 years old. And if a family experiences this type of serious workplace injury or fatality, we want to make sure that they are connected to the Kids Chance community. And the best way to do that is through planning for the future. Planning for the future ensures that no child falls through the gap, regardless of whether they're 2 months old or they're 16 years old. So I want to talk to you about the planning for the future process and walk you through that. We have an example of, it is a really simple and relatively quick process for a family or a guardian to submit their child into the Planning for the Future database. And as we go through this process, I hope that you will listen to both understand the process, but also think about how you can share this information and this process with others. Really, this is an effort communicating about planning for the future and telling individuals about how it works is really vital to our success moving forward. Really, it's a process where we can have a multiplicative effect. If I tell one person about PFF and they tell another, we are going to spread the word about planning for the future and make sure that we're connecting every family that is that we believe could be a scholarship recipient to Kids Chance, the Kids Chance community. So let's go through the steps of planning for the future. Ella's family experienced a life-altering event when her dad suffered a fall at work, and as a result, he was left paralyzed. Ella's family at this time is facing an incredible amount of uncertainty. They have many, many decisions. They are probably grieving, and they are probably coming together and trying to recover. Trying to recover after what is a life-altering event at work. This family is, if Ella is 6 years old, this family is probably worried about kindergarten or first grade. Post-secondary education is more than a decade away. But we want to make sure that Ella is connected to the Kids Chance community as soon as she knows about it. That way, when she does start to look at post-secondary education opportunities, there's a seamless process for her to be connected to the state organization. Ella's mom finds out about Kids Chance of America from someone who has worked on her husband's claim, and she goes to the kidschance.org website and is directed to the Planning for the Future landing page. She learns a little bit more about planning for the future, and she decides that this is something that she wants to do, and she wants to make sure that Ella is connected to Kids Chance. And she clicks the submission form, and she completes the submission form. The submission form on Planning for the Future is very simple. It includes basic contact information about the parent or the guardian. It asks for the child's name, and one key element of information it asks for is the birth date. And this birth date is very important. So if the child is submitted into planning for the future and they are 16 years or older, that child is immediately referred to the state organization, because that person is encouraged to learn about the state organization and apply for a potential scholarship. If the child is less than 16 years old, they are entered into Kids Chance of America's Planning for the Future database. And I'll share with you a little bit more about what happens between the time that they're entered and when they are 16 in just a second. The other piece of information that the family has to have available when they enter into the Planning for the Future submission form is the work injury claim number. And that is also very important because it drives which state organization that family is ultimately referred to. The jurisdiction in which the claim happened and is filed is the jurisdiction or the state in which that family is directed when the child reaches 16 years of age. So she submits the online form. It takes under 3 minutes, and Ella is now in the Planning for the Future database system. Sorry. Kids Chance of America. So because Ella is under 16, Kids Chance of America has twice a year is reaching out to Ella and her family to confirm that we have the most current contact information available for Ella and her family. And it is really Kids Chance of America's investment in time and resources to reach out to these families and make sure that we're maintaining contact with these families from the time they're entered into Planning for the Future until the child reaches 16. When the child reaches 16 years old, we connect that child. So in 10 years, when Ella is 16, we connect Ella and her family to the state where the workers' compensation claim injury was filed. And then the state organization is responsible for reaching out to Ella and her family to make sure that they understand how to apply and encourage them to apply for a scholarship to pursue their post-secondary educational ambitions. And so again, it's a very, very simple process. Visit kidschance.org. There is a Planning for the Future submission form. The submission form is very simple. It takes less than 3 minutes to fill out. It includes basic contact information for the parent or guardian. It asks for the child's name and birth date, and then you also have to have the work injury claim number. We do ask that every family submit a submission form for each one of their children, but there is no limit to how many children can be submitted by a parent or guardian. Kids Chance of America is reaching out to every member, every family in the Planning for the Future database twice a year to make sure that we have the most current contact information available and that we aren't losing touch with each of these families. So I'm going to take a minute to pause here. That is the reason Planning for the Future was, that's sort of in summary, why Planning for the Future was designed and the process that a family or guardian would take to submit a child into Planning for the Future. Are there any questions? Can we explain anything about the process of Planning for the Future? Cheryl, Donna, do you have any comments? Do you want to share?
So Jennifer, I just wanted to share, we haven't gotten any specific questions. We did get, one gentleman was wondering if they could have a copy of your PowerPoint. And as Jennifer alluded to, we have a template with the kind of the meat of what Jennifer just explained. So we can share that as well as just a generic template. If you wanted to do a presentation to your organization or a business or, someone that you're trying to work with. So I would encourage anyone at this time, if you do have specific questions, please type them in the Q&A. I just saw one pop up. Let's see. We have a question. Can Kids Chance of America send the state that the claim number when sending student information? And Kara, I don't know if you want to ask that, maybe can we open up Kara's unmute Kara and let her ask that, because I don't know if I'm saying it right.
One moment.
I think I'm gonna guess what she's saying, but I won't guess. Kara, I would love it if you
Oh.
explained. Sorry.
Okay,
Right,
so when
here
we
we go.
receive information for students when they become age eligible, it would be nice if Kids Chance of America can send us the claim number. We don't ask that on our application, but it would be nice to. And I'm thinking if Ella was 6 years old, by the time she gets to us at 16 years old, and we ask Mom, oh, can you give us the claim number? Oftentimes that's a challenge for them to try to find, or Ella might just not know where to get the claims number.
That's a
So
really good point.
oftentimes that will help us in looking. We've had a couple of the Planning for the Futures come through, or a couple of scholarship applications on Kaleidoscope, and the claim number would help, or the adjuster's name if that's obtainable, so we can find out a little bit more about the injury. We had one recently, and the student was like, yeah, my dad was injured. Kind of no big deal, right? Like, and then come to find out his dad wasn't just injured, he was like seriously injured.
Right.
But the child didn't really portray that to us, but because we were able to do a little bit of investigating on it, it was a terrible injury. But I just think maybe the child didn't really let us know how bad that injury was. We kind of found out on our own, and we're like, goodness gracious, he definitely qualifies. But had we just looked at the child's information and not really had information about the claim, we might not have felt
Compelled to do that. Yeah.
compelled that he had a serious injury. So oftentimes I think Ella or Ella's mom might have a hard time finding that claims number 10 years later.
Right. Have you guys thought that through in your task force work, Jennifer? Has that come up?
No, it has not come up, but Kara, it is a wonderful comment, and I think we'll take that back to the task force, and we'll take that back. And I don't want to say it's wonderful feedback. I don't want to commit to it right now, Kara. Obviously we want to make sure that we understand the ramifications, but it's a wonderful idea, great feedback, and we will report back out to the state organizations when we have a strategy around that. But I can absolutely see from the situation that you explained, as you said, a decade later, are they going to have that claim injury, top of mind, or are they going to have to dig through a bunch of paperwork? We want to make this easy for these families and the students. And if we can send that work injury claim number along with the age eligible information, I think we'll strive to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's a great question. Donna, can you unmute Kathy Del Pizzo? She had a question, and again, I don't want to I think it's easier if you just ask in person. I think Jennifer, you like hearing from them better, right?
I do. I like hearing your voices. It's really nice.
You are unmuted, Kathy, and free to talk.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, so my question is, and I've asked this once or twice before. We get the emails that come through, here's a planning for the future referral, and I'll flag it in my emails. But sometimes I miss them, or sometimes, I guess it's something I can do on my end. But since you guys have the database, would you be able to, once a quarter or something, share the full list with us of at least the high school age kids, who, just to help us double check and make sure that we're reaching out to everyone who is in the database?
Kathy, that is terrific. That's a great question. And that is something that we have discussed at the Planning for the Future Task Force. And our goal is to find a mechanism to send the state organizations on a regular basis. And I think we'll have to figure out the right cadence for you all at the state organizations, but quarterly seems like a good place to start, to send the state organizations the information in Planning for the Future. Because again, and we're going to get to this a little bit later, it is not just a really important tool for your state, for you to have the contact information of the age eligible referrals. It's also an incredible planning tool for your state organization. It gives you a glimpse of what to expect from a recipient perspective in the future. So we are, Kathy, working through a process to give that information to the state organizations.
Yes, great question. Thanks for asking that. And they're hitting on a lot of the things we're already talking about, right? Which is that lets us
great.
know
That's
we're
awesome. Excellent.
We're in the right headspace here. So Donna, can you unmute Sherry Lenhoff? Her question is lengthy, and it's a question that I've had before. So it's an excellent question. And Sherry, I want to give you the opportunity to ask it in person.
Well, I know some states, Nebraska is definitely a farming community. We have accepted or given scholarships to someone who's lost a parent or a serious injury for a farming accident. Now, they would not, they don't have enough employees, so they wouldn't fall that they're required to have work comp, but it is a work-related injury. So they would not have a claim number because technically they haven't filed a work comp claim through the normal process. This could also be with a trucking company or anybody that may be self-insured. So if they don't have a claim number, they can't do the process? Or is there any suggestions on how to handle that so they could at least be put into the planning for the future, even though they don't have a claim number?
Sherry, thank you for that question. And I will say, I believe that claim number is a required field on the submission form as it exists today. But this is the reason why we're doing these types of educational programs, because we need to understand the situations that we can help and build and make this program better. So I will take that feedback, Sherry, back to the task force and back to Kids Chance of America and figure out some type of a strategy so that we can capture those individuals, because as you mentioned, your state and other states may provide scholarships to people who are self-employed or wouldn't have that type of claim injury number. So I don't have a specific answer for you now. I believe it's a required field in the submission form, but we will take that feedback and try to figure out a strategy so that we can improve planning for the future in the future. Lots of futures.
Yes, yes. So Francine had a question. Francine, we can certainly unmute you so you can have a conversation with Jennifer. But her question is, who is the information sent to in specifically at the state organizations? And I believe, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's the scholarship chair and probably your primary contact as a double check. Am I correct, Jennifer?
I believe that it's the scholarship chair and the primary contact, but I would also want to check that. And hi, Francine. How are you doing?
I'm great.
But I will double check that, Francine. And I will double check who it is sent to. And do you have just a suggestion on if there are other people it should get sent to, Francine, besides the scholarship chair and or the primary contact?
Yeah, I definitely think it should be more than one person, because you never know when somebody's email address is going to change or they're no longer going to be on the board and the information didn't get updated. So, and that's occurred in our state. So, the primary contact, I'm not sure how that's determined, if that is the acting or standing president, or can you define that a little bit for me?
I'm going to ask Cheryl to
Yes,
define that.
yes. So I can speak to this specifically, Francine. So I know, just because I've been doing this a lot of years, always the scholarship chair for sure, and the primary contact, as you just said, it's a double check. And if for any reason it gets bounced back, if we get a bounce back, if emails have changed, then I handle that. Those are the special cases I handle. And so at the end of the day, if we've gotten 47 back and we're just missing from 3 states, I actually call those states and talk them through it. And we
Okay.
have uncovered, oh, they're no longer here, or it went to spam. So I kind of handle those cases on a one-on-one basis. Now, how we determine the primary contact is when we send that state profile every year. You guys as state organizations, you actually indicate who your primary contact is, who your president is, who your scholarship chair is. And sometimes your primary contact can be your president. That's
Yes.
allowed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your admin is your primary, because everything goes through admin, and your president is your president, your scholarship is your scholarship. So they're not mutually exclusive, but we do, I think, in the 7 years I have worked with this program, I think this year we are doing the best job at keeping track of who's moved, who hasn't. You've sent us updates. Remember back in the day, you guys used to have to make your own updates.
Yes.
That is gone. So really, once you fill out that state profile form, we have everything we need. If something changes within, 2 or 4 or 6 months, you just send it to Donna, admin, or myself, and we actually make sure that we do all those updates for you. So
Okay.
we're fairly confident, 99.9, that we have really good contacts. Does that help?
Well, yeah, it does help. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten any emails, so.
And you are the
And I am the scholarship chair in Utah.
scholarship chair. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a past president, so.
Yeah, we'll have to talk offline, Francine, and I can let you know where those are going, and we can make any adjustments. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I'm thrilled if I can get some, so.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, though, because it's always that gray area. Like, where does it go? What needs to happen?
Thank you.
Awesome. So any other questions? I think we're good.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you everybody for the wonderful questions and the really great feedback, because this is just going to help us to take back and identify how we can make planning for the future even better and serve the state organizations more effectively in the future. So we're getting, we took quite a bit of time, so I am going to move on to the next part of our the next part of this presentation. And I want to talk to you about Kids Chance of America. We have had a task force, and we have been looking at ways that we can really increase the awareness of planning for the future, specifically across the workers' compensation and risk management communities. And we've talked a lot about who can effectively deliver the message about Kids Chance and the information about planning for the future. And we have identified that it is really those stakeholders who have direct contact with the families and who have built a trust relationship with that family who are in the best position to share information about Kids Chance and planning for the future. And so we've focused our attention on the stakeholders in the workers' compensation community that have direct connections with families and have in many ways are building trusting relationships with those families. So we do have another question, and I would love to hear from you about who has referred families and students to your state organization. So have you received referrals from attorneys, from claims professionals, from medical professionals, from union representatives, from employers, counselors, who is helping you identify and find students? Donna, are we getting participation?
We are about 59% right now.
Wonderful.
Almost everybody has said they do get them from attorneys as well.
Yeah, that is one of, I would say that's one of, from the task force experience and from talking with state organizations and individuals connected with Kids Chance, many states are finding that they're receiving referrals from attorneys, plaintiffs, attorneys in particular.
So we have, oh, here we go. They're trickling back in. I don't want to end it. I want to give everybody a chance to participate.
Yes, everybody has to participate.
We have
And
90% participation. There's
Great.
2 of you that are just hanging on there. Give it another minute or another 30 seconds here before I end the poll so we can look at the results.
Well, thank you. Yes, please share with us, because your experience at the state, across state organizations, as probably many of you can be a testament to, your experience helps another state organization's experience. So we're really in this, sharing is really valuable. It's incredibly valuable to hear about from Kids Chance of America's perspective, and it helps all of us be better and stronger.
Okay, there we go. Got everybody.
All right. Well, it looks like everyone on the call, 100% of the participants are receiving referrals from attorneys. Yes, and we at Kids Chance of America have really identified that attorneys, and in particular plaintiffs' attorneys, are a really important referral source for connecting families to Kids Chance. Many of you are receiving referrals from claims professionals. Again, we also have had that same experience: medical professionals, union representatives, employers, counselors, and other. Do you want to share what people put in the other box, Donna?
Yes, and the other, one person said, unfortunately, none of the above, but we found them through reaching out to school counselors, police, firefighter associations, etc. Nurse case managers, vocational evaluators, vocational rehabilitation professionals, PA, BWC, and WC judges. Education Quest is a scholarship clearinghouse and how to pay for college organizations in Nebraska. Work Comp Administration makes referrals, and most success has been through high school guidance counselors.
Well, thank you everybody for sharing that. And I think, as you have identified, there are lots of stakeholders within the workers' compensation and risk management community that are forming and connected to these individuals and their families. And we want to try to reach every one of those stakeholder communities and talk to them and educate them about planning for the future. Because if they can share information about planning for the future, we have a greater chance of having those families connect with Kids Chance and making sure that when their child is, regardless of whether their child is 2 years old or 16 years old, that they will be connected to the state organization and can potentially receive support from a Kids Chance organization. So one of the things that we have, so we've been doing a lot of outreach to some of these communities and to the national associations or national organizations that represents these communities. So for example, we've done some outreach and have worked to educate attorneys through national attorney organizations. So if there is a state organization of claims professionals or of occupational health providers, a national or a state organization of attorneys that are involved in the workers' compensation system, we would encourage you to try to reach out to them and talk to them about Kids Chance and give them information about how families can can utilize planning for the future. We've found that reaching out to these organizations that represent one of these stakeholder bodies has been really successful in elevating and raising awareness of Kids Chance and also increasing the number of submissions that we're seeing in the Planning for the Future database. We've also, one of the efforts that we've done at Kids Chance of America is if there is a service provider or a partner organization that has a large, significant client base that may be eligible for that has experienced a serious injury or fatality, that organization could send a letter introducing Kids Chance and giving them information about planning for the future. We sent out we had a very large service provider send out a letter to about 1,000 families last year. And as a result of that letter introducing Kids Chance and planning for the future, we saw within 2 weeks an increase in planning for the future of more than 50 students. So having service providers and organizations that have clients that would be served by Kids Chance, if having them send out letters on behalf of Kids Chance and introducing and encouraging them to apply for planning for the future has been successful. If you are doing an educational event, we would encourage you to have materials about planning for the future available during that event. There are planning for the future postcards that you can get from Kids Chance of America at no charge to your state organization, and you can hand those out at your event. Or if there is a workers' compensation educational event and you want to promote and can promote Kids Chance of America, giving out those planning for the future materials is a wonderful way to distribute information and educate about planning for the future. So I know we're in the end. I know Cheryl's
Oh,
on
that's
there.
okay. No, you're
Nope.
good. I wanted to share 2 things that came in, not necessarily questions, but comments. So I wanted to take a moment thank you, Nancy Keller from Maryland. She just wanted to share that she's making posters for each hearing site with information about Kids Chance of Maryland and PFF links. So thank you, Nancy. Also, Dan Nelson, he wanted to share that he's presented to insurance agents. And Dan, I don't know if we want to unmute you just real quick. If I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. So Donna, if you can unmute Dan.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I have presented to the Independent Insurance Agents of South Dakota at their annual convention. I did a work comp presentation as well as telling them about Kids Chance of South Dakota, because insurance agents are quite likely to be aware of serious or fatal injuries when they occur. Because a lot of times an employer, if they're not sophisticated with insurance, they'll reach out to the insurance agent. Hey, I had a really serious accident. What do I do? So they find out about it. And it's a community that I find is somewhat untapped as far as letting them know who we are and what we do. So just wanted to inject that into the conversation.
Dan, thank you so much for that feedback. I think it is a really valuable insight. And I would agree with you that the insurance agents are untapped conduits for sharing information about Kids Chance, understanding how it serves our communities and how it can potentially be a support system for their clients. And so thank you very much, Dan. And I think we'll take that feedback and we'll see if we can maybe talk to some of the National Insurance Agent Association so that they can learn more about Kids Chance.
Now, also,
sounds
Jennifer, I wanted
great.
to say, yes, thank you, Dan. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing. I wanted to say, I know we like to keep this within an hour. I know we have a lot to cover and we've had a lot of good conversation. So no harm, no foul. What I will say is if we do go over, people might have to drop off. That's fine. We are recording it. So if you have to leave at right at the, the 30-minute mark, or what do we have, 5 minutes left in our, in our hour, please feel like you can always catch the last couple minutes. I don't mind going over. If you have a couple minutes to go over, instead of rushing through it or skipping something, I would say, let's just go until we're done, and people can always view that last 15 minutes if they need. Is that okay with you?
Works for me.
Yes.
Thank you.
I did
Yeah.
want to share, Linda Williams said she also speaks to her agency force, and the loss prevention staff have a slide on all of their presentations to talk about the scholarship opportunities. So thank you, Linda. That is helpful.
Thank you, Linda. And I think, again, anytime we're talking to employers or talking to the families or the individuals who may have been impacted by a serious injury or fatality, that is an opportunity to tell them about Kids Chance, how it serves your community, and how it can serve their family in the future. And we should be making sure that we're telling them the best way to connect with the Kids Chance community is to submit their child through Planning for the Future. So with that, again, there are lots of different opportunities within your state to educate stakeholder communities about Planning for the Future, share materials, postcards, and informational materials about Planning for the Future. Kids Chance of America does have many resources which are available to state organizations related to Planning for the Future. So online at kidschance.org, in the state resources section of the website, you'll be able to see all of these available resources. I would encourage you to order Planning for the Future postcards and distribute them at your next event. You can also make those Planning for the Future postcards available to your sponsors or your partners. They have information about Planning for the Future, and they've recently been updated to include a QR code. That QR code allows an individual to go directly to the Planning for the Future submission form. Kids Chance of America also has resources related to Planning for the Future, including talking points, and they have presentation materials that you can download. Much of the format of this presentation that you're hearing today was taken directly from the Kids Chance website. I did make some modifications and updates on it, but you can download that, and we would love for you to use that in talking with the stakeholder community about Planning for the Future. And again, all of those resources are available on kidschance.org under the State Resources tab. So we have, I'm sorry, I'm just, the animation's going forward. So we have had several questions already around strategies. We've gotten some great insights from some of our state organizations about opportunities that they have done, making sure that they're connecting with various stakeholder communities and really sharing information about Kids Chance and Planning for the Future. But now I want to talk to you, and this is the last question, and I understand that we are now at 30 minutes into the hour, and so some of you might have to leave. I would encourage you to come back and revisit the recording that they're going to make available. And as Cheryl and Donna have said, we will make these PowerPoint slides available to everyone in attendance. But the last question I have for you is, how many students received scholarships from Planning for the Future referrals in 2023?
Answers are coming in.
All right, thank you.
Almost halfway there.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for participating. And I also see that there are some continued comments in the Q&A, and that they are asking if the Maryland in Nancy, if you would be able to share the poster that you're utilizing for the, your judicial hearing rooms. If you could send that to and make that available, that would be wonderful. And then we did have a comment about applications and Kaleidoscope, and I know that Cheryl and Donna will take that feedback and connect with you, Kara, offline about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kara, I made a note to reach out to you separately, and we will definitely talk about that. Thank you.
Okay, we're about 80% here for our polls. I'll give it another 30 seconds. This is a short answer, so I'm going to try to share it. It doesn't always work that way, but we'll see as soon as we're done here. Just waiting on 3 more. And if you're unsure of that or unable to answer that question, could you just indicate in the Q&A? Okay, it looks like that might be it. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll just for the sake of time.
Yep.
If you if I close it and you find your answer, you can go ahead and pop it in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to capture it. Let's see. What are you able to see there?
I see that everyone answered the question. So you all win. Everybody wins.
Okay, we have our answers vary from unknown at this moment, unaware of any, quite a few growing each year, 20 referrals, 4, 27, 0, 1, Sherry, and I hope I'm reading that right, Sherry, it says 220, Leanhoff, 1, 5 is our highest yet. 3 were from one family. Kathy shares. Dawn Terry, they have 20. And then Brock says they have 0. And then 0 and 0.
Well, that's great. We didn't get quite 200 scholarships from Planning for the Future last year. However, I am really excited to be able to share that in 2023, there were 24 scholarships that were given out to children who were initially submitted in Planning for the Future. And that they were awarded more than $83,000 in scholarship funds. So it is incredibly exciting to be able to know that the Planning for the Future process is working. We had 24 families who submitted their child into Planning for the Future, and after some period of time, they resulted in 24 scholarships being given to those children. And I hope that that encourages you and that motivates you to continue the incredibly important and good work of Kids Chance. And really, we believe that between Kids Chance of America and your state organization, that we can leverage Planning for the Future to help us plan proactively for the coming years. And I thought it would be really helpful for you to see. So perhaps this is just because of my background. So in my day job, I work for a workers' compensation rating organization. And so our organization is all around data. And so there's a data part, the data geek in me loves the information that we gather from planning for the future. And really what planning for the future is a crystal ball into the upcoming need of how many students that we need to have financial resources for. So there are lots and lots of measures that planning for the future has that we can leverage both at Kids Chance of America and at the state organizational level. So I wanted to share with you some of the measures related to planning for the future. So right now we have over 1,000 children in planning for the future. But this first chart that we have here shows you the number of annual submissions in planning for the future over the last 5 years. And so we were averaging in 2019, 20, and 21, about 100 families were submitting children into planning for the future each year. And then we have made a concerted effort over the last 18 months to really raise awareness and put some goals around planning for the future. And in 2023, I'm excited to share that there were almost 250 children who were entered into planning for the future. And I'd like to take a moment and have us reflect on that. 250 children whose lives could possibly be transformed by a Kids Chance scholarship. This is truly, planning for the future is truly the start of a virtuous circle. When they are entered into planning for the future, they become connected to Kids Chance. And then when they're 16, they're transferred to the state organization. You as state organizations steward them through the scholarship process. And these students then are able to pursue their post-secondary educational dreams. So 250 people in 2023, and we know there are a lot more families and a lot more children who could be served by connecting to the Kids Chance community. So I also wanted to share with you the current age distribution of the individuals who are in planning for the future. As you can see, the vast majority of them today are over 16 years old, but we have a growing number of individuals who are under 16. And this is really going to help us at Kids Chance of America and help each of your state organizations plan for the future. So currently, we have 25 children who are under 5 years old. So really easy, simple math. We know that in a decade, if we want to be able to fund each one of those children at the average scholarship of $3,800 a year, that we're going to need $95,000 a year in sustainable funding so that every one of those children under 5 years old or under now can have a scholarship in a decade. And so as we see more and more families being entered into planning for the future, that will give us insight and help us plan the financial need in the future in the coming years. And so that's why we're really encouraging everyone to leverage planning for the future, because it is a central repository for these families, and it will help all of us plan more successfully into the coming years so that we can support these families now and for the next 100 years. So those are just some measures. Again, we have been talking at the task force level about how we can get this information out to the state organizations. We have each of the referrals is allocated when those submissions come in to a running total of how many referrals are in the database for each of our state organizations. And we will talk about a process so that you have access to that information. I'll share with you one of the things that we've done is we did set a goal as a task force to see an increase of 250 children in planning for the future in 2024. And every week we get a report of how many submissions were received in planning for the future. And it is a real motivator every week to see those numbers increase, because those are, that is how many people who could be positively impacted and positively served by the Kids Chance community. So with that, we hope that you're going to join us and that this is part of a collaboration and a partnership for us to build a bright future with Kids Chance organizations, both at the national level and across our states. Planning for the future is a way to support and serve the families who have experienced a serious or fatal injury. And planning for the future and encouraging these families to submit their children into planning for the future is the best way to ensure that any family who could be served by a Kids Chance scholarship doesn't fall through the cracks. And we are hoping that you can be our partner in presenting planning for the future to our stakeholder communities and ask them to share and promote the program with the families who may be in need. And we're looking forward to your feedback. We gave you hopefully some new information about planning for the future today, and your feedback and insights and how we can strengthen and advance this program and this effort will be very valuable to us. So please, I encourage you to send your feedback and ideas to Cheryl or Donna or myself. And we are really looking forward to a continued strong partnership going forward. And I want to, lastly, I want to share that I hope everyone has registered for their national conference in this April. I am looking forward to getting the chance to talk with you, hopefully all of you in person, so I can see your faces and not just have you on the screen. Don't forget to register for the event and reserve your hotel room, and we will see everyone in April.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I just the only word I can really use right now is wow. Wow. Like, this is not your grandmother's planning for the future, people. This is planning for the future 2.0, 2.000, right? So thanks for really shedding light on a lot of the nuts and bolts for us and giving us some really useful tools as we reach families. So just thank you so much, Jennifer. This was very informative and really enjoyable. I would venture to say that no one was bored. We did not, and I have been bored at planning for the future presentations before. So mission accomplished. I'm going to turn it over to Donna just to close us out, and we are going to talk about the next webinar that's coming up with our current sitting president in March. So Donna, I'm going to let you close us out. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Again, just thank you everybody for showing up and your participation, and the questions were just very robust and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Our next roundtable will be with our current KCOA president, Dana Geinheimer, and that is on March 28th. I'm going to actually mess up that time, so bear with me a second. It's March 21st is the next one, and we hope to see you there. It's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you have any questions about that or any of the educational or programming events that we have going on, you can feel free to email me at admin@kidschance.org. And I will get back to you as soon as possible. And another shameless plug, I put it in the chat, but if you have any updates, such as scholarship coordinators, your delegates for the CSO, or your alternates, board member changes, anything at all, please also email those to me, and we will make sure to get those updated because our records are only as good as the information we're provided. And again, if you're not receiving the PFF notifications, you can also email me at admin@kidschance.org. And everybody have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you all.